You've probably seen gold before. Bright, shiny, flashy, impossible to miss in jewelry, coins, or movies. But here's the thing, that's not how gold really exists in nature, because real gold doesn't sparkle. It doesn't sit there waiting to be admired. It hides. It hides inside ordinary rocks. Rocks you've probably walked past 100 times without even noticing. Dull gray stones, dark metallic lumps, soft brown or greenish rocks. Nothing that screams treasure. And that's exactly why most people never find it. But today, you're about to see the truth. From the rocks every beginner thinks they know, to the hidden ones that only geologists truly understand. We're going to uncover 5 of the most important gold ores in the world. 1. Quartz vein gold, the classic everyone thinks they know. Now this is where most beginners get it all wrong. Most people imagine gold as bright, shiny streaks running through rock. And yes, sometimes it does appear that way. But the kind of gold that builds fortunes is far more subtle. A rock called quartz vein. At first glance, it looks ordinary. White, sometimes milky, slightly translucent, cutting sharply through darker host rock, like frozen lightning trapped in stone. You could pick it up as a pretty rock and toss it aside. And yet, this rock is one of the most famous gold-bearing clues in the world. Quartz veins aren't just pretty stones. They're pathways, formed when hot fluids move through cracks deep in the earth, carrying minerals, and yes, gold. But here's the twist most people miss. Gold rarely sits in pure, pristine quartz. It prefers fractures, iron-stained patches, and stress zones, places where the rock has been stretched, compressed, or chemically altered. Look closer and subtle signs appear. Thin yellow streaks or tiny metallic specks. Rust-colored stains along cracks. Quartz veins that twist and turn unpredictably. Gold might be microscopic, trapped, waiting for someone who knows where to look. Quartz veins aren't flashy. They don't scream treasure. But in the hands of an experienced prospector, this ordinary-looking stone could hold extraordinary wealth. 2. Listwanite, the rock almost no one talks about. Now this is where things get really interesting. Most people think gold is all about shiny quartz veins or glittering metallic rocks. But real experts know better. They're looking for something almost invisible, something hidden in plain sight. A rock called Listwanite. At first glance, it's nothing special. Yellowish, brown, sometimes greenish, soft to medium in hardness. You could step over it without a second thought.
That's the stuff.
And yet, this rock is one of the most powerful clues in the world of gold. Because it isn't just a rock, it's a record of Earth itself. Listwanite forms deep in the Earth. Rocks that were once mantle peridotite transform completely by fluids rich in carbon dioxide. These transformations aren't random. They're gold-bearing. The real magic? It forms along major fault zones, highways deep underground that gold travels through. Look closer, and subtle features reveal themselves. Quartz veins threading through the rock, carbonate minerals hiding inside, tiny metallic pyrite specks, sometimes the only hint that gold might be nearby. Gold is rarely visible on the surface. Most of the time, it's microscopic, trapped, or associated with sulfides. But finding Listwanite is like finding a map written in stone, a geological whisper saying, "Gold flows here." This isn't beginner territory. It's not about flashy colors or visible flecks. It's the kind of rock that separates amateurs from experts. So if you think quartz veins are the only clue, think again. Real prospectors, the ones who uncover massive deposits, are chasing Listwanite, a rock almost no one talks about, but one that could change everything. 3. Sulfide gold ore, the invisible fortune hiding in plain sight. Now this is where gold stops being obvious. Forget bright flashes or shiny veins. This is dark, heavy, metallic, ordinary to the untrained eye. At first glance, it looks like any other dull rock. Gray, black, sometimes tinged with green or brown. Hard, dense, nothing to catch your eye. And yet, inside this unremarkable stone lies some of the richest gold in the world. This is sulfide gold ore. Here, gold doesn't sparkle on the surface. It's trapped, locked inside minerals like chalcopyrite, galena, pyrrhotite, and the notorious pyrite and arsenopyrite. Pyrite-hosted gold is the one that fools most beginners. Brassy yellow, metallic, shiny enough to look like treasure. But often the real gold isn't inside the pyrite. It's hiding nearby, in fractures or surrounding sulfides. Then there's arsenopyrite gold. Gray, dull, unassuming. Most people would walk past it, never knowing a fortune lies within. Experts, however, read it like a map, a silent whisper that says, "Look closer. Gold is moving here." Subtle signs reveal themselves to the trained eye. Tiny golden flecks embedded in sulfides, sometimes inside pyrite, rust-colored staining along cracks and fractures, metallic glints catching sunlight at just the right angle, quartz veins or structural zones hosting gold. This isn't beginner territory. This is for those who understand that the richest gold often hides in darkness, sometimes disguised as fool's gold, sometimes as dull gray crystals. And here's the kicker. A huge percentage of the world's gold comes from rocks that look exactly like this. That means you could be standing on treasure, holding it in your hands, and never even realize it. 4. Conglomerate gold, the ancient river treasure. Now this doesn't look like gold at all. At first glance, it's just a jumble of rounded stones. Mixed colors, smooth surfaces, cemented together like nature's patchwork quilt. Most people would walk right past it, thinking it's just ordinary gravel. But inside, tiny particles of gold are hiding, worn smooth and polished by ancient rivers, trapped for millions of years inside these stones. This is conglomerate gold. It's a type of ore that tells a story of time itself. Rivers that flowed eons ago carried gold from deep in the mountains. The gold didn't settle in flashy veins or metallic rocks. It became trapped inside a mix of pebbles, sand, and minerals. And here's the magic. These ancient gravels sometimes hold enough gold to change lives, even though to the naked eye, they look like nothing. Look closer. Tiny golden specks glinting in sunlight. Quartz fragments hiding microscopic gold. Rounded pebbles cemented with sandy rock, sometimes with faint metallic streaks. Finding conglomerate gold isn't about luck. It's about understanding the paths gold takes, reading ancient river systems, and knowing where time might have left treasure behind. This is the kind of gold that fueled the biggest historical discoveries. Fortunes made from gravel, not veins. From rocks that didn't sparkle, but held hidden wealth for the patient and the knowledgeable. So if you think gold only lives in shiny veins or glittering minerals, think again. Sometimes it's ancient rivers whispering their secrets in plain sight. 5. Shear zone gold, where the earth itself creates treasure. Now imagine the earth as a giant machine, stretching, twisting, breaking. Rocks don't stay still. Deep beneath the surface, immense forces pull and crush them. And where the earth tears, gold often follows. These fractured, twisted, layered areas are called shear zones. At first glance, it's just broken rock. Jagged, stretched, confusing. Nothing shiny, nothing that screams treasure. But to an experienced eye, these distortions are highways for gold. Gold-bearing fluids move along these cracks, slipping deep into fractures, filling voids, or depositing in quartz veins hidden inside the zone. Look closer and subtle clues appear. Stretched layers of dark host rock, tiny quartz veins threading through twisted stone, metallic flecks trapped along fractures, rust-colored streaks from iron-rich fluids. Shear zones don't sparkle. They don't glint in the sunlight. They whisper a secret. Gold moves here. Gold collects here. And here's the incredible part. Some of the richest gold deposits in the world are hosted in these zones. Fortunes have been made from rocks that, at first glance, look like nothing but broken, chaotic stone. Shear zone gold teaches a crucial lesson. Gold isn't always obvious. Sometimes it follows the earth fractures. Sometimes it hides in places that seem destroyed, distorted, or worthless. And if you learn to read these fractures, to see the hidden paths, you're no longer searching blindly. You're reading a map written in rock. Because in shear zones, the earth itself is handing you the treasure, if you only know how to see it. But here's something even most beginners never realize. Gold doesn't just hide inside rocks. It leaves clues. Clues on the surface, clues in color, clues in structure. And if you know how to read them, you stop guessing and start finding. Gossan, the rust that signals hidden gold. Sometimes the richest gold deposits don't look rich at all. They look rusted, deep red, burnt orange, yellow-brown, crumbling, oxidized rock that looks like it's been sitting there forever, slowly decaying. Most people ignore it, but this is called Gossan. And to a trained eye, it's one of the loudest signals in gold exploration. Because Gossan isn't just rust, it's what's left behind after sulfide minerals like pyrite and arsenopyrite have been exposed to air and water, breaking down over time. The gold? It doesn't disappear. It stays, sometimes concentrated, sometimes enriched, sometimes sitting just below the surface, waiting. Look closer and you'll notice deep iron staining across the rock, boxy, honeycomb-like textures where sulfides once existed, a lightweight, crumbly structure compared to fresh rock. It doesn't sparkle, it doesn't shine, but Gossan is like a warning sign from the earth itself. Something valuable was here, and might still be.
And there it is.
Ironstone, the heavy clue most people walk past. Now take that idea and make it heavier, darker, denser, more solid. This is ironstone. At first glance, it looks like nothing special, just a dark brown or almost black rock, sometimes smooth, sometimes rough, often overlooked. But pick it up and you'll feel the difference. It's heavier than it looks, because it's packed with iron minerals, hematite, magnetite, sometimes formed in the exact same systems that carry gold. And here's the connection most people miss. Ironstone often forms along the same pathways as gold-bearing fluids. The same fractures, the same faults, the same ancient channels deep underground. Which means when you find ironstone in the right geological setting, you're not just looking at a rock, you're looking at a companion to gold. Look for dark, dense, heavy rocks compared to surroundings, magnetic response in some cases, iron staining spreading into nearby soil or rock. It won't flash in the sunlight, but it might be sitting right next to something that will. Bedrock cracks, where gold finally stops running. And then there's the place where gold gives up. After traveling through veins, fluids, rivers, fractures, gold eventually stops moving. And when it does, it settles in one of the simplest, most overlooked places of all, cracks in bedrock. At first glance, bedrock is just solid ground, hard, unbreakable, boring. But look closer, especially in riverbeds, exposed hillsides, or eroded terrain, and you'll see something different. Tiny fractures, crevices, natural traps carved by time and pressure. And this is where gold collects, because gold is heavy. When water flows over bedrock carrying sediments, sand, and minerals, the lighter material keeps moving. But gold? It drops. It sinks. It wedges itself deep into cracks where nothing can easily wash it away. Sometimes for years, sometimes for centuries. Look closely and you might find fine gold flakes trapped deep in narrow crevices, small nuggets lodged tightly in cracks, black sands and heavy minerals packed alongside it. This isn't theory. This is one of the most reliable natural gold traps on Earth. No flashy veins, No obvious signs, just gravity, time, and the quiet accumulation of hidden wealth. And now, everything changes. Because what you've just seen isn't just a list of rocks. It's a completely different way of seeing the world. Quartz veins, Listwanite, sulfides, ancient conglomerates, shear zones, Gossan burning red on the surface, Ironstone sitting heavy in your hand, bedrock cracks silently collecting what the world leaves behind. These aren't random, they're connected. Every single one of them is part of the same story. A system the Earth has been running for millions, sometimes billions of years. Gold doesn't appear out of nowhere. It moves. Through pressure, through heat, through fractures deep beneath your feet. It travels through fluids you'll never see, through cracks you'll never notice, through rocks most people don't even recognize. And then, at just the right moment, it stops. It stops in a fracture. It settles in a vein. It locks itself inside sulfides. It hides beneath rust. It drops into a crack in bedrock and waits, not for luck, not for chance, but for someone who understands what they're looking at. And this is where everything separates. Because most people, they'll keep walking. They'll see a white rock and ignore it. They'll see rust and think it's worthless. They'll pick up a heavy stone and throw it away. They'll step over cracks without ever looking inside. They'll walk over gold again and again and again. But you don't see rocks the same way anymore. Now when you look down, you hesitate, you question, you notice. That white quartz vein suddenly isn't just a rock, it's a pathway. That rust-colored patch isn't decay, it's a signal. That dark, heavy stone isn't ordinary, it's a clue. That crack in the ground, it's not just a crack, it's a trap. And this is the moment where most people realize something uncomfortable. Gold was never really hidden. It was ignored. Think about that. How many times have you walked past a riverbed, stepped over stones, climbed a hillside, kicked aside rocks, without ever realizing what could be right there? Because the truth is, the difference between someone who finds gold and someone who doesn't isn't location. It isn't luck. It isn't even experience. It's awareness. Once you see the patterns, you can't unsee them. You start connecting things. Quartz near iron staining, sulfides near fractures, Gossan above something deeper, Ironstone marking old pathways, bedrock cracks sitting exactly where gold should settle. It all starts to make sense, like pieces of a puzzle that were always there. You just didn't know how to assemble them. And here's where it gets even more interesting, because what we covered today, this is just the surface. There are places where gold forms in ways that completely break these patterns. Places where it hides in environments so unexpected, so overlooked, that even experienced prospectors miss them. Places where people have walked for years without realizing they were standing on something incredibly valuable. So now the question isn't just, where is gold? The real question is, what have you been missing this entire time? Next time you go outside, don't rush. Don't assume. Don't ignore the ground beneath you. Look at the rocks. Really look at them. Look at the colors, the phone, the fractures, the patterns. Because one small detail, one tiny clue, is all it takes. And somewhere out there, right now, there's a rock sitting in plain sight. Dull, ordinary, forgettable. A rock that hundreds of people have already walked past. But not you. Not anymore. Because now, you know what to look for. And here's the part that should make you stop and think. Some of the biggest gold discoveries in history didn't happen deep underground. They were found in places just like the ones around you. Which means, the next rock you pick up might not just be a rock. It might be the one everyone else missed. So tell me, if you saw one of these signs in real life, would you recognize it?